Welcome to Real Fake Talk, where we dive into fascinating discussions about books, music, and more, powered by AI-driven conversations. If you're into thought-provoking content with a twist, you're in the right place. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this unique journey. For more content, head over to our website at realfaketalk.com.
All right, so we're diving into the first few chapters of E.M. Forster's A Room with a View.
Oh, a classic.
It really is. And whether this book is an old friend or a brand new discovery for you, get ready to uncover some hidden depths in what might seem like a pretty simple story on the surface.
Yeah, those first 6 chapters.
They're deceptively simple, aren't they?
Yeah, they draw us into that world of early 20th century British tourists, in Florence.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, Forster, he's already setting the stage for so much more. There's social commentary, a clash of cultures, and a young woman's journey of self-discovery.
And it all begins with those two English ladies, Lucy Honeychurch and her cousin, Charlotte Bartlett, arriving at their pension in Florence.
Oh, the pension Bertolini.
Yes, only to find that their room with a view, it isn't quite what they were expecting.
Classic Forster. He captures those, those little anxieties, those unspoken expectations of the English abroad so well, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely.
It's like they crave the foreign experience, the exotic, but they want it neatly packaged, delivered without disrupting their sense of Britishness.
Right. And then enter the Emersons.
Oh, yes.
Father and son, who turn the whole polite atmosphere of the pension Bertolini upside down.
Oh, they're wonderfully disruptive, wouldn't you say?
Completely.
They're blunt, they're unapologetically themselves, and they're completely indifferent to those social graces that someone like Charlotte Bartlett holds so dear.
And they just casually offer Lucy and Charlotte their rooms, the rooms with that coveted view.
Oh, the audacity.
Charlotte is scandalized, but I have to admit, I found myself relating to Lucy's, kind of quiet fascination with these two.
Because their presence, it speaks to something deep within her, don't you think? I mean, remember, this is the Edwardian era. We're talking rigid social structures, especially for women.
Absolutely.
The Emersons, in their refusal to conform, they represent a challenge to that whole status quo.
And when Mr. Emerson so bluntly states, women like looking at a view, men don't, it's not just a quirky remark.
No, not at all.
It's the subtle rebellion against the prescribed roles of the time.
Exactly. And then, of course, there's Mr. Beebe, the clergyman.
Oh, he's such a great character. He's almost like a Greek chorus, wouldn't you say?
Yes. Silently observing the drama unfold with that knowing smile.
He sees everything.
He does. He possesses this almost uncanny ability to see beneath the surface, to sense those unspoken desires, anxieties, all simmering beneath this veneer of politeness.
And he recognizes Emerson's disruptive influence, but he also sees the potential for change.
Oh, absolutely. For growth.
Yeah.
Their very presence, it creates these opportunities, these openings.
I love how Forster does that, how he, weaves together these seemingly very different characters, these very different personalities, and sets the stage for these moments of unexpected connection.
Oh, it's masterful.
And speaking of connections, let's talk about Lucy's little adventure in Santa Croce.
Ah, yes. Her foray into the heart of Florence, chaperoned by the well-meaning but completely scattered Miss Lavish.
She means well.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But it's significant, I think, that this pivotal encounter, it takes place in the hallowed halls of Santa Croce, a space, imbued with history, with art, with spirituality. It's as if Forster's placing these characters at a crossroads, both literally and figuratively.
And it's there, amidst all those masterpieces, that Lucy bumps into the Emersons again.
Of course.
But their encounter, it's anything but reverent.
Yeah.
Mr. Emerson's pronouncements about the frescoes, particularly his comment about the fat man in blue ascending to heaven.
Oh, dear.
Not exactly hushed whispers of art appreciation.
Well, and that's Mr. Emerson for you. He's not trying to be provocative. Not really. He's challenging the accepted interpretations, the rote responses. The way people just kind of go through these motions of experiencing art, experiencing faith without really truly connecting with it. When he says of the fresco, I see no truth in them, he's not dismissing beauty. He's not dismissing spirituality. He's demanding authenticity, a genuine connection with something larger than himself.
And in doing so, he forces Lucy to confront her own assumptions.
Precisely.
About art, about faith, maybe even about her place in the world.
It's like he's holding up a mirror, wouldn't you say? urging her to see beyond the surface of things.
It really is. And just when you think the tension, it couldn't get any thicker, Forster throws in that line.
Oh, which one?
The things of the universe, Mr. Emerson says to Lucy, they don't fit.
Oh, I love that line. What do you make of it? It's so simple, and yet it just feels so loaded with meaning.
It does.
It's a statement about the inherent contradictions of life, wouldn't you say? The way our neat categories, our expectations, they clash with the messy realities of human experience. And it speaks to the Emersons themselves, these individuals who refuse to be neatly categorized, who challenge the very notion of what it means to fit into society. But perhaps, most importantly, it foreshadows the emotional and intellectual journey that Lucy is about to embark on, a journey that will require her to question everything she thought she knew about herself and the world around her.
And it's funny, isn't it, how Forster takes that idea of things not fitting.
Yeah.
And then he places Lucy and the Emersons, right in the middle of chaos, really.
Oh, yeah.
That scene in the Piazza Signoria with the murder and Lucy fainting.
Oh, it's such a vivid scene, isn't it?
So vivid. It's almost cinematic.
It really is. I think Forster deliberately disrupts that idyllic atmosphere, that postcard version of Florence, to kind of mirror that inner turmoil that she's going through.
Yeah.
This isn't just some random act of violence. It's a collision of worlds. This jarring reminder of the darkness that exists, even in the midst of beauty.
And in that moment, that moment of intense vulnerability, it's George Emerson who comes to Lucy's aid. And there's something, I don't know, there's something so raw, so instinctive about his actions in that moment.
Yeah.
The way he gathers up her scattered photographs, the ones stained with blood, and throws them into the Arno.
It's an act of protection, wouldn't you say? But it's also an act of erasure.
Also?
Well, it's as if he's trying to shield Lucy from the harsh realities of life, to preserve her innocence. Even if it means denying her access to the full spectrum of human experience, the good and the bad.
And it makes his statement by the river all the more intriguing, when he says, something tremendous has happened. I must face it without getting muddled. It isn't exactly that a man has died. What do you think he's grappling with in that moment?
I think George he's experiencing something that transcends the immediate tragedy.
Okay.
Yes, he's witnessed a death, this senseless act of violence. But there's something more there, wouldn't you say? His words, they suggest this deeper realization, a reckoning maybe with his own mortality, or with the fragility of life itself. And we can't forget, the Emersons, they carry this sense of loss, the absence of George's mother, this encounter with death. And in this foreign land, it seems to awaken something profound within him.
And it's interesting how Forster, he contrasts this moment of raw emotion with the stifling atmosphere of the pension Bertolini.
Oh, absolutely.
Suddenly we're back in this realm of social niceties and whispered gossip.
And the Emersons, they're the target of all that gossip, aren't they?
Of course.
It's fascinating how quickly the other guests, these paragons of English respectability,
right,
they seize upon this murder as a way to confirm their own prejudices.
Yeah.
The Emersons, they, in their unconventionality, represent a threat to their carefully constructed world.
And just as Lucy is, she's starting to question her own judgments, her own perceptions of the Emersons, then Mr. Eager drops that bombshell.
Oh, yes. Mr. Eager and his well-timed revelations.
About Mr. Emerson's past. Talk about strategic gossip.
It's masterful, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just when Lucy starts to see the Emersons as these complex human beings, not just these eccentric outsiders, she's hit with this scandalous revelation.
And it throws her completely off balance.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Forces her to question everything, the nature of truth, perception. How can you really know anyone?
And it highlights the hypocrisy, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
At the heart of this little English enclave, they're so quick to judge, to condemn, but are their own lives really so blameless?
Not at all. They cling to their social rituals, their carefully curated versions of themselves, but you can sense it, can't you? That current of unease just beneath the surface.
Yes, absolutely.
This sense that things are not what they seem.
And it's into this charged atmosphere that Mr. Eager, bless his meddling heart, introduces the idea of an excursion to Fiesole.
Oh, yes. The ill-fated outing to Fiesole.
Because what better way to soothe those social anxieties than a carriage ride through the Tuscan countryside, right?
Of course.
But of course, nothing about this little excursion is going to go according to plan.
And that's what makes it so brilliant.
Right.
Forster, he uses this this seemingly innocuous outing to expose the cracks in these characters' facades.
The stage is set.
Oh, it really is.
For confrontation, for revelation, for those moments of awkwardness and unexpected connection.
Well, it's those Forsterian moments that we love so much.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's all happening against this breathtaking landscape, this idealized vision of Italy.
Which seems to both beckon and mock these English tourists, doesn't it?
It does.
It's like the landscape itself is in on the joke.
2 carriages, a picturesque road winding through the Tuscan hills.
It sounds idyllic, doesn't it?
It really does. But this being Forster, I'm sure there's a storm brewing beneath the surface.
Oh, there always is with Forster, isn't there? And what a storm it is. That carriage ride to Fiesole, it becomes a microcosm of all those social tensions,
right?
Those simmering desires that he's so carefully woven into the narrative.
Yeah.
In that first carriage, you have Lucy, sandwiched between the effusive Miss Lavish.
Oh, bless her heart.
And a rather subdued Mr. Emerson, who seems to have, surrendered to a post-lunch lull, shall we say.
I can imagine a combination of Chianti and awkward silences might have that effect.
One can only imagine. But you're right, there's this sense of anticipation, isn't there? Like the calm before the storm.
Definitely.
And it's no coincidence that Forster, he places George Emerson in the second carriage, trailing behind with Charlotte and the ever-observant Mr. Beebe.
Of course.
Their constrained silence set against the backdrop of the Italian countryside.
It speaks volumes.
It really does. It's as if the landscape itself, that landscape, it becomes a character in the scene.
You know, you have the beauty, the vastness of Tuscany, a place that seems to just embody freedom and possibility. But then juxtaposed with the rigid social codes, the unspoken expectations that these characters, they can't seem to escape.
It's brilliant, isn't it? That juxtaposition. Because Forster's highlighting the absurdity of it all.
Right.
Trying to impose one's limited worldview onto a place as ancient and multifaceted as Italy. They're so busy, these characters. They're so busy trying to control their surroundings, to curate their experiences.
Just fit it all into those nice, neat little boxes.
Exactly, that they miss out on the very essence of what it means to truly see.
And to be seen.
Yes. And let's not forget the reason for this elaborate outing in the first place.
Oh, right.
Mr. Eager, in his, shall we say, infinite wisdom.
Bless his heart.
He believes he's offering Lucy a glimpse into the refined world of the residential English in Florence.
Oh, yes, those lucky few.
He's practically giddy with anticipation to show off this supposedly breathtaking view. He even quotes that obscure Florentine painter Alessio Baldovinetti.
Baldovinetti.
Known for his meticulous attention to detail.
Oh, right.
Particularly in his depictions of landscapes. It's rather telling, don't you think?
It is, yeah.
That Mr. Eager would choose to invoke him at this particular moment. He's so focused on presenting this meticulously curated facade,
right,
on aligning himself with a certain level of artistic sophistication that, well, he's blind to the irony unfolding right before his very eyes.
Of course.
Because when they finally reach the vista point, the view that Mr. Eager has so painstakingly orchestrated.
Yes, the view.
Is completely obscured by clouds.
No, you're kidding.
Clouds, thick, impenetrable clouds. It's the ultimate anticlimax, and yet...
It's perfect.
It's perfect. That's a stroke of genius.
Yeah.
The view, so heavily anticipated, so laden with symbolic weight, it's literally veiled, isn't it?
It's like it never even existed.
Exactly. And it forces these characters, it forces us as readers to confront those limitations of perception.
The way our own expectations, they can blind us to the truth.
Precisely. And it's in that moment, that moment of shared disappointment with the rain starting to fall, that Forster, he leaves us with this powerful sense of uncertainty.
And what about Lucy? What will this experience, this non-experience really, of the view awaken in her?
That's the question, isn't it? Will she succumb to that pressure to conform, to embrace that limited worldview offered by those like Mr. Eager? Or will she forge her own path, embrace the unexpected, open herself to the messy, exhilarating possibilities that life has to offer? That's what makes A Room with a View so compelling, wouldn't you say? It stays with you long after you finish the book.
It really does. This idea that sometimes those most profound journeys, they're the ones that lead us inward.
Yes.
Toward a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us.
And for that, we can thank E.M. Forster.
E.M. Forster. And thank you for joining this deep dive into A Room with a View. We'll be back next week with part 2, chapters 7 through 12. I hope you'll join us.
Thanks for tuning in to Real Fake Talk. We hope you enjoyed today's AI-powered conversation and found it as thought-provoking as we did. If you liked what you heard, make sure to subscribe and leave a review. It really helps us out. Don't forget to check out more content and updates on our website at realfaketalk.com. Until next time, keep the conversations going. And remember, nothing is quite as real as a good fake talk.